done it again.
Welcome everybody to PSF2 here in PSGL round 9 here in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia for this beautiful night race on board with this incredible group of drivers. I'm your commentator for this evening and I am joined by always by Harry. How are you, Harry?
Yeah, I'm good. A little bit tired after doing a lot of Christmas tree collecting over the last few days, but raring to get underway once again.
Christmas tree collecting?
Yeah, for charity with my work.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
Yeah. Raised a good grand this year, so all going well.
Beautiful.
Well, 100 grand I think it ended up being.
That's what it's all about, the spirit, the happiness, the joy. And then into 2026, a lot of these drivers will be wanting to feel the same way by the end of this evening. And one of them drivers is White Sheep. He is. He's in the Haas there, and he can be crowned world champion this evening. Oh, Park Ferme's on.
Just tell him didn't, honestly. But yeah, I think it could be a good event. As long as White Sheep DNFs, we always definitely have another event in a day's time.
Quickly load it back up.
But yeah, well, we have this little intermission. Who do you think's going to win today?
It is going to be a tough one. I'm not sure. I think White Sheep is obviously going to be there, but depending on how his pace was last week, he's going to have to do a little bit better on the old wheel. Right, I'm just going to send fresh invites out.
Yeah. Whereas in the meantime, I'll be commentating the online services screen.
Yeah.
Because EA is reliable like that. Yeah, it's looking very beautiful as always, just those orange flashing lights one by one.
It was clear, weren't it? Yeah, so I'll put it as clear. Park Ferme is off. I didn't know Park Ferme had to be off, but there we go.
Yeah, most places have them on. I'm somewhat surprised as well, but kind of expected when it's the top drivers in the world.
Yeah.
Allow them to change setups between quali and race, show their true strengths in such manner.
So I'll just make sure that I've got everybody invited.
I didn't know my YouTube had audio on.
I heard something about AI, that was it.
Yeah, ChatGPT advert. Wonderful.
I'm just making sure that I've got all the right people invited.
Oh, I'm finally in the old lobby.
So, 1 second. Red flags also need to be off. Beautiful. Damage standard reduced. Damage standard reduced. Fuel mode hard. Right, no problem. See, I've not done any of this before. I've never set the lobby up, so... Right, I'm gonna save dynamic weather. Dynamic weather. I thought because it was already dry, we were going to keep it dry, but I'll go dynamic. And then I'm going to save start time realistic. Yep, perfect, got that. And then this is PSGL settings. I don't know if there's any others that need an invite. I will have a look. No. Damages, car damages standard, sorry. Is ICS Matt in? No, he's not. I'm just going to send him an invite. Right, everybody is back in. You got any predictions for the race today, Harry?
So I'm hoping it'd be a bit like Monaco, a few DNFs, chuck some wild cards in throughout, with that coming into play. Maybe I don't know. I don't want to wish the worst for drivers, but I do hope White Sheep has a really rocky race. Not because I don't want him to win, but I just want the championship to go to the final two races, to make it a bit more tense and a bit more nerve-wracking, especially for White Sheep, because he's prolonged his own success. So therefore, the chances of him failing further starts to creep in a bit more, starts knocking at his mentality. It's really a bunch of mind games, but the longer we can keep this championship going, also the better for the fans. So that's what I'd like to see. I want to see Kevin Zonneberg and Sam 1-2. White Sheep at least 11th to really heat things up.
It would definitely make it interesting anyway.
But yeah, as I said, I can't really wish the worst for drivers, but that's what I'd love. But probably, I think it'll be a White Sheep race to win. Like, he's won the only other street circuit this season apart from Australia, at Monaco. It looks like he's quite good at the street, so could be.
Yeah, right, 2 seconds, I've just got to grab my laptop. I forgot to grab it, 2 seconds.
Yeah, so, well, he's gone. You can see the very beautiful timer that's counting down to all of our doom, which is the round 9 start. As, yeah, we will be getting underway in a matter of moments. As I said, quite a big race. Could be, as also Nathan said, could be won or lost here for White Sheep. because 35 points clear to Sam. He only needs to be 36 ahead after this race to win the title. Well, 36 to still be mathematically in it, 37 to win it outright. So he has to outscore Sam and Zonneberg by 2 points in order to win. For Zonneberg, it's a bit more difficult than 2 points. He has to actually gain 4 points to stay in it. So let's just say, for the safety of the complications, White Sheep must outscore both by 2 points. But yeah, qualifying now underway, as I can hear Nathan shimmying and swaying in the background.
I'm ready. We are ready to go for the PSF2 here in PSGL. All the drivers back out on the pit garage, and we are raring to go. I'm sure Harry has been through all of the stats and figures for a championship to be wrapped up this evening. Hope you're doing well, Indigo, and you too, mate. So we have a couple of drivers on the way out of the pit lane. Kevin Zonneberg. We have Go Matt 7 in the chat, so we've got a little bit of support for the drivers. Kevin Zonneberg in the Red Bull is going to be the first driver out. Yeah, it's just got me riding on board with him. It's not letting me change my my view of him at all.
I'd say go spectator menu, then back out. That usually fixes it for me, but at least Zonneberg's got that mindset. He's left the pits first. He's almost trying to signal us that he's going to get his second win of this season. And it'd be a great return after P11 in Barcelona, P12 in Silverstone, then a race ban that was served the last race. It's kind of a must-win event for the Red Bull, to say the least, as he's working through the very windy middle sector. I can't really just say middle sector because the whole track is corner after corner. It's so relentless on the drivers. I'll be honest, I won't be surprised if one of them ends up turning around after the race and goes, I'm so knackered, I just need to lie down and go for a sleep. Because that's what I'd be.
I figured out what it was. It's because I've got my wheel plugged in and the controller, that if I use the controller it doesn't ride on board, but if I use the wheel it does. So there we go. So riding on board with Kevin Zonneberg, I will use my wheel as we spectate the whole grid. I should get the keyboard out, really, it'll make it a lot easier. Kevin Zonneberg is getting ready here. Harry is going to be the first driver on track in that Red Bull as he comes around turn 27. So we'll ride on board with the championship contender who sits P3 in the championship, going in to round 9. Down towards turn 1, Matt 7, the racer, says Matt 7 is my son. Beautiful. So he's here supporting his son, his father, in the chat, raring for him to go. Here comes Kevin Zonneberg down towards turn 3 and 4. Really tricky part of the circuit. And as we've said previously, you are flat out for about 80% of this circuit, 27 corners, but it's just so windy. You are travelling upwards of 150 miles an hour throughout most of this circuit, down in towards the hairpin. I think at turn 11, I do need to get the track up, but that is just me guessing. 13, sorry. Yes, down in towards the S's at turn 16 and 17. And then you get that beautiful DRS coming up shortly, where we hope to see a few overtakes. So the Red Bull driver trying to get everything out of this circuit. He's using all the boundaries that he has at his disposal. Into the left-hander, just clips the wall and invalidates it. That is how easy you can lose it, Harry.
Yeah, it's so easy, but that's one of the most difficult corners on the calendar. You even saw it in the mainstream F1 esports, Thomas Ronhar having that big conundrum in
when
the
he
dying
caused
embers.
that huge pile-up, Harry.
Yeah, back only a year ago, so don't rule anything like that out. We also saw it in Monaco earlier this season, 7 DNFs in the Nouvelle chicane as Benjamin sets a bank of a 26.1. So I do expect quite a few drivers to make mistakes in that very start of sector 3, just because it's such a difficult complex. It's a sharp left then into a long swooping right. It kills those tyres, but then it's really a test of the driver's skill as to what happens there, as I think that's Matt taking to the line now. Yes, it is. It's P2 with a 26.5. Then you've got Sousa about to start a lap, and Ticho rounding out turn 27 as they work their way up to the start-finish line. What will it be for the Ferrari? It'll be a 26.0. And then you've got not Mattia Manga but Wards, who is back after 3 races of bans to go third. Then it's Tiago who goes fourth with a 26.3.
It is. You've got the Haas coming to the line now, and White Sheep, the championship leader, goes P6. The McLaren of TRT Zane in the Papaya goes P4. But yeah, incredible lap for some of these drivers already. These bankers are well into the 126s. TRT Zane, TF10 Sam, ICS Matt in P7 in that Williams. Then you've got Ivan, his teammate, Diogo Silva, the Portuguese powerhouse, Mattia Manga, the Italian powerhouse, in P7 in that Aston Martin. So we've still got a lot of the drivers coming through. Kevin Zunneberg is not on a lap. He's still building his battery. IRTC has invalidated it. Then you've got Vessel to the line. Vessel goes P9 and in front of his MoneyGram Haas teammate Biel Sousa, the little Brazilian in the V-Cab, is coming down towards turn 27 on them soft compounds. He takes that very early, hits the wall, very Max Verstappen-esque as he's on them soft compounds, and it's not going to be the quickest, but it's still going to be a great lap. It's P8 for Biel Sousa.
Yeah, something I think White Sheep should be concerned about is this is the first time this season he's actually gone slower than his teammate of Vessel, which is a very awkward fact to point out for the championship leader, who in context is, I'm just trying to find his teammate on these standings quickly, who is 71 points ahead of their teammate.
Wow.
Is slower than their teammate for the first time this season. Kind of shows White Sheep's struggles at its highest point, really.
Yeah, so Vessel sitting 3 tenths in front of White Sheep. We knew that it was going to be a struggle for Vessel because, for White Sheep. Oh, Christian, a 5-place grid penalty, a collision with Mattia Manga. So there's been a collision there, and it is a penalty for TRT Christian, the Papaya driver, into P13. But we'll have a 5-place grid penalty, and we don't even go that low down at the moment. So he can only lose 4. Good for him. So TRT Christian will not be hoping to get any worse than it currently is. Biel Sousa is on his way into the pit lane. But how's it looking, Harry, after the first load of laps?
It's looking quite like Mexico, I'd want to say, because you of course saw the 2 Ferraris right up the top end in qualifying trim there. I believe for most of the session they were in fact the quickest 2 out on the grid. So they are still up there, but then if you're to look at them in the championship sense, they're 14 points off Haas, and Haas are in 10th and 11th. So this is going almost perfectly for Ferrari as they are on that hunt into the final 2 races. Then for Zunneberg, he's on an out lap, so is Pablo in the Mercedes, whilst his teammate Seb, the only driver who hasn't set a lap, I was going to say, and is in the pit, but he's just left the pit box as well. But this is the stage where it's nice and quiet. Most drivers are going to end up having a break because of it naturally being Jeddah, one of the most difficult circuits on the calendar. You don't want to be doing flat out laps and then go for a 25 lap endurance race, it feels like here. So it's really, some drivers will come out and get 3 runs, some will only do 2, just because they want to try and save some strength for the actual event.
Yeah, definitely. It is a brilliant circuit, but it's so demanding. And Kevin Zunneberg will take us across this 3.8 mile circuit, 6.1 kilometres, just along the Red Sea coastline. Here we go, Kevin Zunneberg in the Red Bull around turn 3 and 4, and then back onto the throttle. This is the tricky part. Yeah, he gets that right, lifted a little bit. Well, Kevin Zunneberg is one hell of a driver, and he will be putting it all together here this evening. So down towards turn 8 and 9, and then through turn 10, 11 and 12. And then we go down towards the hairpin at turn 13. A little bit of traffic in front of him, just moving out of the way, and he's not on the lap here, Kevin Zunneberg. So it is Pablo in the Mercedes behind him going in towards turn 6. Around turn 7, just lifts back through, just trying to correct himself. You can see the back end trying to steer away from him as he clings on to that Mercedes AMG.
Yeah, it's not really the best of events, I'll be honest, but yeah, I'm just caught in two worlds at the moment, so I'll pass it back over to you.
Yeah, no problem, Harry. So, as we stay on board with the Mercedes driver coming through Sector 2. I'm just going to turn the game volume up, is it? Oh, no, that's fine. He's gone, he's invalidated it. And Pablo has invalidated it, and that is how difficult it is, and the drivers will struggle all night long. 27 corners it's so difficult. Usually you get a track, you've got 12, 13, 14, 15 corners, and you just sort of got to navigate through them. You've got to be aware, you've got to concentrate so much. But when you've got 27 and you flat out, one slight lapse in concentration, and that is all she wrote. So we are on board with IRTC being the other Mercedes as he comes around turn 26, down towards turn 27. And then around the final chicane, back onto the throttle and using the track to his advantage. And now it's just a sprint race to the checkered flag. IRTC goes P8 with a 1:26.4. 0.3 of a second separate P2 to P9. This is heating up, ladies and gentlemen. We've got the McLaren. TRT Christian is round and he's spun it coming out of turn 8. TRT Zane, on the other hand, has gone up to P2. So the other Papaya is performing, but Christian is just not finding his mojo at the moment, and he's got a 5-place grid penalty. We've got the Ferraris once again. Tiago will be coming down towards the line with that rear wing wide open, and the Scuderia is the first to make it into the 125s. AMR Tiago stand up. That is brilliant.
Yeah, an absolute mega lap. Sorry for that, but White Sheep is on a lap. Hopefully, it'll be a bit better than P12. We've not seen him start anything lower than, I believe it was P7 this season. That, of course, came last week, where he also hit his lowest result of the season, which was a DNF. So, hopefully, he will find a bit more of his true colours, as this circuit definitely is vibrant. You could almost picture it as its own little painting. There's just so much going on throughout, as White Sheep is just trying to be the artist at the moment, get into his element and get the lap going as they slingshot themselves through this middle sector. Then they just drop through the gears down to gear 4, then straight back up towards the DRS zone, which heads towards, I believe it's turn 21 and 22. Off the top of my head, I'm so unprepared. I don't even have a track map, which I'm, trust me, gonna kill myself for. But anyways, White Sheep 600ths down after the first two sectors. We thought the lap could have been a fluke, but it really doesn't look it. It's looking a lot more like reality as they now work up towards the 27th corner. He knows he can be the champion today, but he needs the lap to all be pieced together, and that's just not what we're seeing as he's about to cross the line here, and it's quicker, but only a 10th quicker than his teammate and P12.
Yeah, he is finding it very difficult out there, White Sheep. We've got some more drivers coming to the grid. One of them, Benjamin, is on an out lap. Beal Souza in the Racing Bull has backed out of his lap, so it is Diogo Silva in the Red Bull, who's currently P16 with the 127.2. We've got one driver in the 125s, two in the 127s, and the rest in the 126. As Harry pointed out, it's just picture perfect around here. It's a beautiful night circuit with advanced LED lighting systems around the whole circuit that 50,000 spectators can watch this £20 billion circuit here in Saudi Arabia. We are on board with Diogo Silva, and he's backed out. The Red Bull has backed out. He's not going to improve, so we'll jump straight on board with Benjamin in the Alpine, who has performed quite well at points this season. He's turned up when he's needed to turn up. Not the season that he would have hoped for in the end, but he's shown glimmers. He's shown glimpses of that amazing driving etiquette that he holds and that racecraft that he performs with on a weekly basis. And you can see how close he gets to that wall. He's full throttle through there. He comes through the DRS zone, the rear wing wide open, giving him that extra bit of horsepower as we head in towards Sector 3. He's a 10th and a half up. That is spectacular. He gets that picture perfect through there. He could have got the cameraman all flashing him as he flew through that around turn 26, down towards the final chicane at turn 27. He'll lean out to the right hand side. He'll lean his way into the left hand side, back onto the throttle. He'll feather it and then foot down as soon as he feels that grip below him and into the pit lane.
Yeah, that was quite anticlimactic. But how much more confusing do you want this championship to be? Because I could make it extremely confusing in about 2 minutes while the cars all go around the track to start their final run. But I'll leave that up to you, Nathan, on how confusing you want it to be.
Why? I'm intrigued now.
So, everyone down to 13th is still mathematically in contention as things stand. For 13th, which is Bill Sousa, he must win and have White Sheep not score. Yeah?
Yeah.
That's as long as neither of them get pole or fastest lap. But if you were to think about it in that way, put 14th into the equation, Nick, who unfortunately isn't here, means we have to quickly kick him back out of it all, which is a waste of mine and your time. But then, everyone between Kevin Zonneberg, who's 40 off of White Sheep, he needs to outscore White Sheep by 4 points, all the way down to Christian in 11th, that gap's 7 points. So Christian, if he wants to be in it for next race, and for the others ahead, they must all outscore White Sheep by, for the sake of saying it, let's just say 7 points to keep them in it. Of course, the closer they are, the less they have to score. So the range is 5 to 7 points. No, not 5 to 7, 5 to 12 for most of them. But yeah, so many names are in it, but we're just going to focus on 3 of them.
So let me get this right. You are saying that there's multiple drivers mathematically still in this championship?
Yeah, 13 of them. 13 multiple.
Wow.
But yeah. But yeah, 52 points. You need 36 to be within shot after this race. You can score 18 a race. If you can't do simple math, 36 plus 18 is 54.
Thank you very much. So, there we go. Harry has let us know there's 13 drivers still in with a shot of this championship mathematically as we are here in round 9 in Jeddah. The first of the final runners, TRT Christian on the McLaren, who sits in P15 with that 5-place grid penalty. He's going to be the first runner to the grid, to the checkered flag here in qualifying, and that was slightly awkward as TRT Christian went through there. He hit the wall on the outside, which was just sent him skew whiff as he went in towards turn 6 and 7, so it really threw him out, and yeah, he's his 10th down already. That really hindered Christian's lap, and I'm not sure he's going to be able to go again, because that's why he's still flat out. He's got no option here. He would have used the fuel for his final run to get everything out, and plus he's only got 20 seconds left. Here we go for the qualifying session in Jeddah. 15 seconds remaining. Christian, the DRS is on. The battery is burning as we head in towards turn 21 and 22.
Matty Manga's gone off. Yeah, he's gone off in turn 3. He's found the wall. Looks like he's gone a bit sideways, but he's now slowly getting back in. So I'll let you jump back over to Christian as he's about to cross the line. Whether or not he will improve, we will find out.
So Pablo is out. Mattia Manga has spun. Christian is still trying to find improvement. He did find improvement, but it's only P14. Then you've got Ivan to the line who goes P14. And then we've got the other drivers. The Ferrari of Ticho is going to be next. The Scuderia will go P1. It's provisional pole for the Ferrari driver. Then we've got the McLaren of TRT Zane who comes after the Sauber of TF10 Sam. The Mercedes, he stays P4. Then you've got Sieb in the Mercedes who's invalidated it. The other Mercedes of Pablo into the pit lane. Then you've got the Red Bull of Kevin Zonneberg, who's third in the Drivers' Championship, goes third in the race. The two Haas drivers and the other Ferrari are coming through Vettel has invalidated it. The championship leader of White Sheep will be next out of turn 27, down to the checkered flag. White Sheep goes P6. He's just about saving it. TF10 Wars is into the pit lane. Mattia Manga is out, and I think it's all resting on Benjamin in the Alpine, who is improving, but is it going to be enough? It is not. It's P5 for him. Biel Sousa invalidates it, and the two Ferraris, Harry, have locked out the front row here in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I think we all have to give him, well, not just him, both of them, a round of applause for that. Two of the three drivers who broke that 26 barrier, the other one being Kevin Zonneberg. But yeah, that is just something to celebrate, especially with them 14 points off Haas in this championship. They're 7th and 13th on the grid. It's a big order for Haas, but then also we saw White Sheep. He still wasn't himself through that session. So if I go back to the numbers, which I just love looking at, if you don't know me well enough, I've done about 5 races here, but you've got that little motto. But White Sheep, it's all falling apart because Zonneberg's ahead of him. I'm pretty sure Sam's also ahead of him. As long as they finish ahead of him, they will take it to the next race. Whether or not we'll see 13 in it next week, we probably won't, unless White Sheep DNFs and they all end up coming like inverted order, from 13th to 7th or whatever in the championship to bring them back in. But it really could be anyone's game with the Ferrari's front row for Ticho and Thiago. It's just looking good, but yeah, you could probably just see the grid as I was waffling away. My bad.
No, you're all good. You're all good. Everybody knew where everybody finished anyway. So here we go. We got some Netherlands fans in the chat. We are raring to go, and only a couple of minutes until this incredible race starts.
Yeah. What do you think will be strategy for this race? I want you to have a go at it this time.
You know, Harry, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm not a real strategy type of person now because I'm not very quick at the game, so I don't get to race. I mean, I race every week once, and that's it. Jeddah is actually really one of my favourite tracks on the calendar, but in terms of strategy, I think we'll have a real mixed bag. I think there'll be a lot of drivers that will start on different strategies. I think we'll see a handful of softs. I think we'll see a couple of mediums, and I think we'll see a handful of hards as well. But I think primarily, I'm assuming we'll see a lot of the drivers start on the mediums.
Yeah, so from what I've seen, you're looking at 3 different possible strategies. You're looking at a 2-stop, a 2-stop, and a 1-stop. Why 2 2-stops? Well, one of them will include the softs, as you said. One will include 2 mediums. So you could do softs 5 laps, then mediums 10, then hards 10, or even another set of mediums 10. You just have to be careful on those tyres. The other 2-stop is medium, medium, hard, maybe 6, 6, 13. And then your final strategy would literally be drag out the mediums to 12 laps, which I've seen many a times happen. You just have to be careful with the tyres. Drag them 12 laps, maybe 13 out of push, then the rest of the race on the hards. They're all fairly streamlined strategies, they're all doable. It's just how safe do you want to play. For White Sheep, I think he'll have to go for that one, just because then it's all or nothing for him in that sense, because he's got the 35-point lead. He's got 12 other drivers who could all still be in it next week. He needs to try and knock out as many of them as possible today.
Yeah. Well, there you are. Harry is the man with the numbers. He's the man with the knowledge. And he's given us a great insight on what we should expect to see with strategy-wise. The timer is going. Are you ready? The drivers are ready. Are you at home ready? This is the PSGL F2 PS Championship here in round 9 for Jeddah. We could see a champion crown this evening, sponsored by Sim Racing Setups. And it is lights out and away we go. The 2 Ferraris just backing down. Beal Souza goes for a late lunge down the inside, smashes into Thiago, and Beal Souza with a huge collision there. White Sheep has dropped down behind the Sauber and the Alpine, who just squabble and nearly touch. The Sauber goes up the inside, and that is not a place where you want to go for an overtake, but my goodness, did he try it. Beal Souza is up 2 places now and in to P2 as Thiago drops down. There's a couple of drivers. ICS Matt has dropped down 8 places in that Williams to the back of this grid. Vettel is down 3, but then Christian, Pablo, Diogo and Silb all make up places, Harry.
Yeah, very hectic one. Thiago still having some pressure on him from Kevin Zonnebeke, who of course is trying to keep his hopes alive here today. But for White Sheep, he's lost the place immediately off the line. And he's somewhat holding up, which is good for him. But if you look at the tyres, I know it's very early to talk numbers and that. Everyone but 2 are on the mediums. And those 2 that are on the hards is Sieb and Ivan, so they're probably looking at go a bit later. But then also you never know with the safety car windows, that could all swing things into full motion. As you can see, that T-shirt already 1.7 clear, which is almost an undercut territory, as there's Sam round the outside of Wards through the final corner. The Sauber's going to have to settle in for the unfortunately lower place of the Tours T-shirt, a 131.4 this first lap, as there's almost definitely going to be a move into turn 1. That is White Sheep on the outside of Sam through the first corner. He'll have the inside through turn 2 and threads the needle as they find themselves back up where they started in this race. For Sam, that is not what they want, because that is 1 point of the 2 in which White Sheep needs to knock him out.
So, incredible stuff. White Sheep in the Haas leading Sam anyway. That's ICS Matt that is through. Vettel is round. The Haas driver has got no front wing here in Jeddah. The 2 Williams in 15 and 16. Ticho is 2.2 seconds clear of Beal Souza, who's got that DRS train behind him. Sam is going to try and come back at White Sheep. Remember, White Sheep only needs a couple of points to knock a couple of drivers out. And the Haas driver is doing what he needs to do. He's in P7. We know that he struggled in the back end of the Grand Prix last week. I'm expecting to see similar things here in Saudi Arabia, but at the moment he's doing okay as Sam makes a slight mistake, and now Benjamin is all over him like a rash. Here he comes into the slipstream. The Sauber will try and hold on. The Alpine peeling right, peeling left, trying to find a way through. Is he going to go later on the brakes? That's exactly what Sam does as he goes into the side pod of the championship leader. They collide, they tangle, and nearly round they go. And now Benjamin is picking up the pieces as Benjamin tries to get his way through around the outside. And that is Thiago, who's up to P2 as well. Wow.
Yeah, it's all kicked off as Ben has of course got ahead of White Sheep. He's now going to look at I don't even know where my English is today. Ben ahead of White Sheep, you know who I mean Sam. As Ben is now trying to overtake White Sheep, not Sam. There you go, I've rejumbled my words for you lot in a very much confusing manner, but that is literally what my life is in the shortest way possible, as you have got them all just in a single file line. Vettel has pitted already. He's going on to the hard compounded tyres. He's going to either try and take it to a pit stop where he can... No, never mind, he's retired. So I'll shut up on that and let Matthew Manga and Sam duke it out for P9 here today, as the Aston Martin's going to get DRS on the Saubers. They work their way up towards turn 21. Matthew Manga all over the back of him, looks to the inside, almost attempts a lunge but opts out of it this time round as Sam's gone round, and there's contact between the two. Luckily it's no broken wheels, it's only a bit of front wing shed off like a snake.
My goodness, around, and yes, a damage. And you can see we were on board with him. He just lost the rears and he started to slide around. And that is ICS Matt that is slowing down and getting out the way. And the Aston Martin driver goes into the pit lane. I'm not sure why Matt got out of the way, because he's not got damage. He's still in this race. But he just shifted to the left-hand side to let the other drivers through. So Mattia Manga is into the pit lane and out of this Grand Prix here in round 9. Another driver succumbed to this circuit already.
Yeah, about that handing the place back, as Sam has a big wobble. You can just see that Sauber is not liking the Saudi Arabian streets whatsoever. But about that handing the place back, it was an illegal manoeuvre. So they all got underway and the track was still yellow in that part. So when Matt overtook them, because they were both underway again, it logged it as an overtake rather than cars are standstill. So it's a confusing topic, but according to the game, he overtook someone under yellows when really he overtook someone who was round, which I think's a bit poor, but that's just as good as the game can really get in terms of its own coding.
Yeah, I did wonder, and now we know why. So, Biel Souza on the back of Thiago. Here he goes, the Racing Bull driver around the outside of the Scuderia. And Ticho is still 2.5 seconds clear, and that is Matt that goes through on Sam, the Williams driver, making a move on the kick. Sauber for P14. Well, back to the leaders. Thiago is going to try and respond to Biel Souza, but it is the little Brazilian, and there goes Kevin Zunneberg. Wow, what was that? He came from nowhere. He was like a rocket ship down in towards turn 1, and he was very unforgiving. That is Sam that's out in the pit lane as well. That is the third driver out in this beautiful street circuit.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Sam, because as long as White Sheep scores 2 points, he's knocked him out, which isn't what the Sauber would want whatsoever, especially being second in this Drivers' Championship. It is a sad way to end his title campaign, because if I'm right, that is the 4th DNF on the bounce. It says he finished 12th, but I'm pretty sure he did take a DNF out in Mexico. It was just after that 90% mark, which is why it's logged as a result. But then there was a DNF in Silverstone, a DNF in Spain, and now a DNF here in Jeddah. Yeah,
it's not a good look, really. He's just not found any rhythm at all, has he, throughout the season? He's just not managed to find like a golden patch. Usually as a driver you might have a bad patch, but you sort of find a little golden patch where you get into a little good run of form. He's just not found that this season.
Yeah, what I've noticed though is it's whenever I'm here. So the 2 races I've actually missed this season, he went on to win. He won in Austria. I wasn't there, I was over in Northamptonshire. And then Australia, he won. And I wasn't even a commentator here then. So, but apart from that, I've done all the other races, and his best result was 6th in Monaco, 9th in Australia, 9th in Kota, and then the others were DNF. So I think me being here is what's folded his championship.
I mean, just by that, he proves he can win a race. He proves that he can hang with these drivers, but then he just can't find that nice patch where he can consistently get decent results. He ends up, he'll win a race, and then he'll DNF 2 and finish 6th in another, and then he'll win a race, and then he'll DNF another 2, and it's just, he's not found that golden patch where he can get P3, P2, P1, P3, and just get a few decent results on the board. And had he have found that patch, I think it would have been a different story.
All I can say is if those DNFs were podium finishes, we'll just say 10th for the sake of it, he would actually be championship leader.
Wow.
For today. But those DNFs, because they wouldn't end up being those P3s I've just brought up, he's 35 back, and now going to be at least another 5 back with the end of this result. Unless, of course, something does change in these final 18 laps, but it doesn't look like much will change around White Sheep. He's stuck in the middle of that train. As you said, Sieb to the inside, overtaking Benjamin on those hards. You can kind of see that those hard compounds are now, of course, becoming those better tyres, as the Evans also started closing up to the back of Diogo in that Red Bull, and then Sieb's just made a move into turn 1.
So the hard runners starting to find that form now. Pablo picking up a 3-second time penalty. Thiago also got a penalty. Ticho 3 seconds clear of everybody else behind him. White Sheep still in P7. There goes Matt on Pablo, the Mercedes driver, dropping down to P14 as Matt gets another overtake under his belt. I hope his dad's still watching him and be very proud. It is the second best load of drivers on the planet on PlayStation, and he's still getting the overtakes at the back of the grid. Beal Souza here in that Racing Bull, chasing down the sister car of Kevin Zunneberg. He got the DRS, then it backs out, and Kevin Zunneberg gives a little clip around the ear to the wall on the left-hand side. Now, he didn't get the exit that he would have wanted, and Beal Souza is going to try his chances in the Visa Cash App Racing Bull, or is he going to wait for the straight down towards turn 1? Yes, I think he's going to wait for it. Kevin Zunneberg has used a little bit more battery, and Beal Souza lost the rears, and now Thiago might even try and attack the back of that Racing Bull. But I tell you, Kevin Zunneberg got let off the hook there.
Yeah, very lucky by Kevin Zunneberg. It really wasn't a position I think any driver would want to be in. I've only done God knows how many league races. I stopped properly a year or so ago, and yeah, I've had so many of them. I've just never really been able to survive at Jeddah though, long enough to make it 8 laps, so I can't really speak in the same experience of these a lot. But then, even then, I'm looking at my time trials compared to yours, Nathan, and I'm sorry, but I'm way more shocking.
Really?
Yeah, I'm setting about 129s, 130s here at Jeddah. You're setting like low 29s. High 28s.
And I'm bad. So nowhere near these drivers anyway. 125, you know. So Beal Souza still chasing down Kevin Zunneberg, but he's nowhere near as close as he once was on the previous lap. 8 out of the 25 laps done and dusted. Thiago in that Ferrari, and TRT Zane still trying to make inroads. IRT Seeb is on the back of White Sheep. This is going to demote the Haas driver down to P8 if the Mercedes is able to get that move on them hard compound tyres that are now starting to find the form. There's a driver into the pits. That's Thiago going for the undercut. Here's IRT Seeb on White Sheep. Is he going to go for that late lunge that we've seen a couple of drivers do? No, he's not. He's going to be a bit more conservative.
Yeah, you could just really see those hards are better than the mediums, because Seeb, the man he overtook only a few laps ago, was about 1.7 behind White Sheep. So he's gained that in 3 laps. And now he's trying to overtake in a DRS train, which could have happened into turn 1 if you made the lunge. But, of course, the moment you make a move here, the walls just cave into you, and it ends up becoming your own doom as such. It's almost like saying, I don't know, a 7-year-old with 2 months of experience on F1 coming against Thomas Ronha. It will never work out for them. But it's just a very difficult circuit to overtake. Of course, just due to those walls being there, always being like a thorn in someone's backside. But at the moment, it does look like those hards have got the upper hand, and we could see a few moves through this DRS train as Seeb with DRS on White Sheep, who ironically has it on Ward, Zane, Souza and Zunneberg, which is just a really long list that I get exhausted reading out. As T-Show into the pits, I believe Zunneberg is as well, and White Sheep alongside Souza, and probably many more.
So TRT Zane on the mediums has stayed out. He's now the leader, same as Ward's. Seeb on the hards is now into a bit of clean air, the same as Ivan. Ticho, where's his teammate? Thiago went for the undercut, and Ticho is going to come out just in front of Thiago, and so is Kevin Zunneberg. Kevin Zunneberg has undercut Beal Souza. He's not able to get past Kevin Zunneberg, but at least he's done one of them. Benjamin picks up a 3-second time penalty. Here comes ITS Matt on the back of Diogo Silva. Pablo is on his way out of the pit lane, but it's TRT Zane that leads provisionally without pitting towards Seeb, Ivan, and then Ticho, who's only 7 seconds behind Ivan, and they've still got a pit yet. Thiago is the one to watch. He's got some heat into his tyres, and he'll be chasing the back of that Red Bull. Beal Souza already a second and a half behind that Ferrari.
Yeah, it's just showing the pure difference of one extra lap old tyres. The heat's already there, whereas for Susan and Zundberg, they've got to warm them up and then get back into that rhythm once they've done it. So it's good for Tiago. One thing I want to bring up about Tiago though is the likelihood that that penalty no longer stands after this race, because it literally happened because of the move from Bill Sousa into turn one. Not saying that Sousa should get penalised, I'm saying that, well, it was a turn one lap one incident. You bash wheels and he goes off and gets a penalty for it. It's quite harsh, to say the least, almost anywhere, and I've even seen track limits here get appealed, so I do think that will get appealed as well.
So Tiago setting the fastest lap of the race. What a lap.
Not anymore.
No, ICS Matt. Get in, ICS Matt. Well played. Wards is through on White Sheep. White Sheep's now down to P9, and he did not want to end up behind that Aston Martin driver, and he's going to get held up a lot. So let's just take a look at the tyres, what everybody's on now. Christian is going for that two-stopper. He's not going to get to the end on them mediums, so he is committing himself, and then all the rest of the drivers pretty much on fresh hards, apart from Seb and Ivan, who are on 10-lap-old compound tyres.
Yeah, most of those tyres will make it to the end. As you said, Christian maybe not. I think you can do 15 laps here on the mediums. You just have to be hoping they don't get a puncture though. You need to stay as far away from the walls as possible and turn in lighter than a feather. That way you'll save the tyres. But if you can't do that and you go full out attack, those tyres are going to end up becoming a piece of gum and pop when you try and blow a bit longer, you know. It's just, it won't last. They'll just blow up in front of you. And
here comes Tiago as well on the inside of Kevin Zunneberg, and Kevin Zunneberg is going to be demoted to P5 as the Scuderia gets through. Ticho is in a league of his own. There goes Ward on TRT Zayn as well, and Benjamin on TRT Christian. It's happening all over the circuit here on lap 12 as the Alpine makes the overtake and goes back into the top 10. White Sheep not able to do anything as the Aston Martin in front of him was able to get an overtake and leave White Sheep behind.
Yeah, White Sheep even got overtaken by Zayn. That just really is showing the struggles. But we saw that last week. The first stint, White Sheep... Oh, is there someone off?
Zayn made a mistake and White Sheep went through.
Yeah, that my words have just gone straight back into my mouth. I don't know why it's happened so much today. It's like I'll say something, then the direct opposite happens, doesn't it?
It does.
But yeah, White Sheep last week on this quote-unquote old wheel he says he's on. I'm not saying he isn't, and I'm not saying he is, because I can't ask him to take a photo of his current one and his old one for us. But with White Sheep's old wheel, we saw in the first stint, he was matching the leaders. Then the second stint, his pace was almost as if he's racing 2 divisions too high. And that's somewhat showing again today. Like, Ward's completely blitzing him at the start of this stint. He's already pulled out a second in a lap or so of overtaking. Then he's probably going to even get overtaken by Zayn here, as he's got DRS on the Haas car. They're going to close in. Whether or not they'll go and make a lunge to the inside, they're a bit too far back. They picked a sensible route and went and waited a bit longer, but you can just see how close Zayn is getting through each and every corner. And White Sheep taking quite a few abnormal lines just to get the car around the circuit at this moment. It just doesn't look like the car wants to follow his command anymore.
Yeah, really surprising. And there goes Ticho on Ivan. And the race leader is up to P2. And that's because Seb is yet to pit. So he's through on Ivan. But yeah, not sure what's happened to White Sheep. He's even falling off Wards. He's just unable to keep with his pace. Obviously, we know, and we'll mention again, that his wheel is in for repair. He's using an old wheel. But your talent shouldn't be dwindling away as much as White Sheep's is, because he's been incredible before the last race, but then he's just sort of falling back. There goes Diogo Silva on Christian. Around the outside goes the Red Bull. A spectacular move, and one for the highlight reel for the Portuguese driver.
Yeah, I'm just trying to read the constructors, and I'm sorry, it's just so confusing because they order it. The best result goes to the top in the constructors. So when I was looking at it, I automatically went, okay, Tisho's name's first, he's going to be the top row. And yeah, but there's Zundberg going around the outside of Tiago, if you didn't see. But as I was saying, I just automatically read it, the name that comes first is on the top. I then look at it, and then I look at the drivers and goes, Tisho wasn't third last week, it says it was fifth. And then I read it, and it goes, oh, but it says the bottom row's fifth, so that's Tiago. So I look at Tiago's result, and I say it says it's third, and I'm like, oh, okay. It's just almost like you're trying to decode like a secret message or something.
Trying to trick
I'm I'm slowly making sense of it all today.
So, whilst Harry tries to make sense of all that, the drivers are trying to make sense of this circuit. 14 laps out of 25 completed. Matt nearly got the switch back on Christian out of turn 27, but he had to back out. Biel Souza and Tiago chasing down Kevin Zunderberg, who's on the back of Ivan, who's yet to pit. And then you've got White Sheep losing time to TRT Zayn. The McLaren did get through on the Haas, and now Benjamin is on the attack. You see the aerial shots there as we go around turn 25 and 26. You see the tents to the right hand side with all the spectators, 50,000 of them that will queue up to watch this race on a Sunday. In real life, of course. Here comes Ticho, Kevin Zunderberg and Tiago as Sieb is now into the pit lane, and so is Ivan as they go on to mediums till the end of this race. The Ferraris are still on for a double podium, except Tiago does have a time penalty. And did you say, Harry, that's probably going to get removed?
Yeah, I think it will, because as I said, he got forced off the track in turn one. He had nowhere to go but off the road, and he got punished for it. And it was purely because he got hit from the inside going through there. But I'll be honest, I wouldn't mind seeing a round two. This time it may be a bit more level terms, because it's not like it's just straight off the lights. You're now 15 laps into this race. You've got 1 lap tired out in favour of Souza, and they're only split by half a second. But I can update you on the constructors. I've decoded Haas, but it almost looks like everyone else has, because White Sheep struggling as the man to beat, whilst their standings is very streamlined because it actually follows what I said previously, first name goes to the top, or bottom vice versa. So yeah, I've decoded them, but so has everyone else. Quite literally.
So what is it looking like in the constructors now then, Harry?
I'll quickly type in some data on this image I've got. But no, it looks like Ferrari. Well, I shouldn't say it looks like. It will be Ferrari on the top. They're scoring 27 points as things stand, if I'm right. And Haas, on the other hand, are scoring, let me count quickly, 3 up from 10th. 4 points, which is 23 apart, meaning 23 minus 14 if you don't know. 9 points in favour of Ferrari. McLaren will close in by a few points on Haas. Williams will drop back. Alpine's gonna drop back. Red Bull's gonna close in by about 5, I don't know, 7 odd points off the top of my head. Sauber falling back, of course, 1 driver, 1 out. Mercedes, they're going to be falling back. VCarb, well, they're going to close in by about 5 points again. So for the most part, Haas hasn't got their back covered. White Sheep needs to do a bit of work, just save them a bit, whether that's coming on P5 or not. But then of course there's still 2 races. Hopefully they have that resurgence at the end and we can see a proper war between Haas and Ferrari, but we really never know. As talking about these standings, you've got Red Bull, Williams and Mercedes all about to swap. That's definitely going to chuck a
Oh.
few spanners in the works. A sieve to the inside. Matt even trying to poke that nose in, tried making it stick. Didn't manage to do so, but they'll have the run up towards turn 1 to give it a shot. It's Matt right behind Diogo. He looks to the outside. He thought about trying to squeeze that Williams in. He may have had to trim the width of it by a few centimetres to get through. Therefore, he chose not to, as there's yellow flags. That's Benjamin, who is going slow. Looks like he had a bash with the wall, as he's now missing the end plate. But all the stuff I've just said about the standings almost instantly flipped on its head here, as there's Ben off the road once again.
Yeah, so it is all wide open here in PSGL F2. Benjamin hitting the wall, getting damage, and floats to the back of this grid. You've got the two Williams now in P10 and P11. That's ICS Matt and IRT Ivan. Matt is still on the back of Diogo Silva, who's starting to fall off. Sieb, who's on them fresh medium compounds. White Sheep is up to P7 by default at the moment, and he is currently staying with the papaya of TRT Zane. 8 laps to go. Beal Souza tracks down Thiago in front. Down in towards turn 27 at the left-hander, just hugging the apex. You see Thiago flashing in front. He's going to get that rear wing open, that DRS. ICS Matt is through on Diogo Silva with that DRS. Back on board with Beal Souza. Moves to the left-hand side, and the Racing Bull is through on the Scuderia down in towards turn 1. A beautiful move from the Brazilian in the V-cab. Then we go back on board with ICS Matt, who's going to have to defend for his life against Diogo Silva, but the Portuguese driver cannot find a way through, and it's great racecraft from ICS Matt to hold on to that P9.
Yeah, action's not done. Benjamin's retired from the race, and all I can say is that saved White Sheep a little bit of a job. That's one less driver he has to care about in this championship. Benjamin was 41 off. He had to outscore White Sheep by 6, and that really has put his championship to a close. One thing I was going to say about him, if he was to push it into next race, is he's only got 1 podium, and his average finish is about 7th as well. To be 4th in the standings, that is miraculous stuff.
Absolutely, Harry, you're absolutely right. So Thiago is going to try and chase down Beal Souza here. Around turn 23 they go, through 24 and 25. That DRS enabled. The rear wing is wide open. It's going to be deja vu as they switch it back around down into towards turn 27. No, he's not. Thiago's going to be patient. He's going to wait, and that is Beal Souza that clips the wall on the left-hand side, and this is going to be easy pickings for Thiago. He's going to leave him like a standing duck, and Thiago is through and up to P3, back into the podiums. Now, what about the other fight we've got on board? ICS Matt's got to defend again against Diogo Silva, down the pit straight, past all the garages, past all the engineers, as they all wave the flags down past the spectators. But it's ICS Matt that will stay in front for another lap on lap 19.
Yeah, good defence, good attack from both drivers. That really just shows the quality of this, but them having that little fight has now in fact brought Wards into play. The Aston Martin just was about 1.5 off, now within that precious second you have to be within in order to get DRS. Zane's 1.4 back as well, so they could maybe even come into play, and if they do, then almost certainly White Sheep, who looks like he's had that little bit of an off period we saw where he worked his way backwards a bit, but now he's actually somewhat holding on to the cars ahead. He looks a bit more like he's in the right place once more, looking a bit more like his chirpy self, even though he still isn't quite chirping louder than the whole field. But we are seeing a bit more of him.
We are indeed, and some of the drivers are really close to each other. I think they've got to be patient. They're going to be recharging that battery. They're going to be harvesting and waiting for the opportunity to overtake in the remaining 5 laps here in Jeddah. You've got Beal Souza, you've got Wards, Thiago, you've got White Sheep and Zane, you've got Diogo and Matt and Ivan all raring to go. I know we've got 5 DNS, but we've still got 12 drivers still battling it for points on under the street lights of this Saudi Arabia circuit. Here comes Wards again on Biel Souza. He seems like he took that really well through the left and right hander, and he seems like that Aston Martin is sticking to the ground like you wouldn't believe. A bit of PVA glue on them hard compound tyres as we go down in towards turn 13 at the left-hander, really close to the wall, back onto the throttle as he chases down the V-cab in front.
Yeah, it's hopeful for Wards, I'll be honest. He's got the tyre delta which almost all drivers want, but then also you can say the same thing with Souza to Tiago. Tiago's got one lap older tyres, and they're all just caught up in that little bit of a train, so we could end up seeing no moves whatsoever as Wards is stuck behind Souza. Souza's trying to defend us. So I believe they both just went and exceeded track limits, 3 of them, and that is a penalty for them. By now they've got at least one already. Sometimes what I've noticed is drivers in fact actually abuse them intentionally in some cases. Like they'll drive a race to save 3 strikes, then the final few laps they'll burn up all their strikes as they try and hunt down a driver. That is some really smart racing. Talking about smart racing, Souza tried dragging Tiago to the inside to go for a move on the outside. Wards tried doing the same thing to Souza. Neither of them cracked.
You're right, and there goes Ivan on his teammate. Is that tactical from the 2 Williams drivers? Matt has let his teammate go, who's going to be on fresher medium compound tyres, and now the chase is on for Diogo Silva in front, and he's going to be able to worm his way around the circuit so much quicker than Diogo in that Red Bull in front. Let's just have a look at the tyres. Yeah, 6 laps on the medium, 11 laps on the hards for Diogo Silva. And them hards are around 63% at the moment. I tell you what, Harry, with 4 laps to go, this is going to be very close for these hard runners. You've got Biel Souza 55%. You've got Wards 54%. And then you've got the drivers like Matt, who's on 64% wear on them hard tyres.
Yeah, that kind of goes back to one of the things I said pre-race. If you're the one stop to work, you're going to be nursing them like a baby, because it's a high-deg track. That's what we're seeing, as you said, 63% on the mediums, as Souza has in fact gone for a move to the inside on Tiago into the hairpin, and that has definitely caught us and the Racing Bulls off guard as Tiago's going to try and fight back. He pulls to the outside. Wards looking to go to the middle. Could have had a Singapore-esque clash where we had the 2 Ferraris and a Red Bull a few years ago into that first corner. 3 into 1 usually don't work, but they continue to fight up towards turn 3. It's Tiago on the outside of Souza. He will regain their 3rd place, which is a blessing and a half for the Scuderia, because it could be their first double podium of the season, and this double podium to give them the championship lead with 2 to go, it's almost something worth to go out drinking for.
Absolutely, Harry. Gotta celebrate that. Biel Souza overtaken by the Ferrari. Wards is going to try his luck, so is TRT Zane, and as that is going on, ICS Matt and Diogo Silva still trying to track each other down. Ivan is way in the clear now, and I don't think he's going to be under pressure, but he does have a time penalty. I would say you can see the tyre wear on the front left of ICS Matt in that Williams. Even when he's travelling at high speed, you can see the wear, and I think he's got to be a little bit worried now. 70% on them hards.
Yeah, I think what we've noticed is drivers are seeing about 8% a lap at this stage. Once you hit that puncture territory, it's every single curb you touch, whether it's a raised one or not. It braids the tyres, as Christian has actually found himself round in turn 23. That's quite awkward regarding he's actually on the best looking tyres, and he's the one that's fallen apart first. But Souza, Wards and Zane all following Tiago into that hairpin. It's all about just trying to get those tyres to the end. For Tiago, he's got a big order. He's still got 2 laps and 14 lap old tyres, whereas the other ones are a bit more capable. White Sheep, however, they've fallen apart. They were right behind Zane a few laps ago, and now they're 3 seconds off and could get swallowed up by Seb and Ivan.
Yeah, I think Seb is definitely going to get the move on White Sheep shortly. I think he's just a sitting duck at this point. So the Mercedes, yeah, every single corner he's getting closer and closer.
Yeah, White Sheep just looks like he's kind of gone back to what we said about in Mexico. He had that awkward, very big lapse in pace in the final third or whatever. That's really kicked in here, and when the championship can be won, it can also be lost in such manner. Good thing for him though, he is knocking a good few names out. He's probably dropped the contention from about 13 to, I want to say, 7 for next race. Just me looking at current finishing positions and all that, because Tisha and Tiago are staying in. You've got Zonneberg staying in. You've got Souza, who's out. You've got Wards, who's out. You've got Zane, who's out. You've got Sieb, who's out, as White Sheep actually had a big moment and Sieb got by while I was just looking in a different
Sieb got the overtake in the Mercedes on the Haas, and that means White Sheep is down to P8. You've got Diogo Silva chasing down Ivan as well. Ivan in the Williams, just in front of Diogo Silva in the Rebel. He doesn't need to go for the overtake, as he will get the position anyway due to the penalty. Sorry, I'm just reading the comments. Something about Tiago. Not sure what he's going on about. Ticho has been absolutely incredible though. IRTC picks up a time penalty, and that is going to be costly. That means that White Sheep is going to pick that position back up unless Sieb gets a move on. Ticho has been impeccable. He's been flawless in these opening 24 laps of racing here in Jeddah. He's 6 seconds clear of Kevin Zonneberg, and when that time penalty kicks in, it's going to be more like 9. Biel Souza is potentially on for a podium if he can stay within the time of Tiago, and potentially even take P2 if he passes Tiago. We are about to go on to the last lap of this Grand Prix here in PSGL F2, sponsored by Sim Racing Setups. Make sure you use code PSGL on checkout for a 5% discount.
Yeah, it's all going to come to the wire, as I don't know why, but having a night race just makes me want to go to bed, which is what I'll probably end up doing in a bit. As yeah, it's always nice watching these cars under lights, though I'm kind of going off on a little tangent to try and fill up while no one's making move. But Souza all over the back of Tiago. I think that comment about Tiago was about how he may end up appealing, which I of course brought up previously. The appeal will keep him where he is. I think it'd work, but then you never know. Some studs may turn around and go, we want Haas to win this title, no thanks. And flip it all on its head.
So as it stands, Harry, he's not going to be champion here, White Sheep.
Nope, it's to Brazil. Vamos. It's one thing I did say at the start though. I said it'd be nice to see it go as long as possible, and that's kind of what we've got due to the issues. However, amongst all the issues some drivers may have, Tisho has honestly had a perfect weekend, pole position.
Yeah.
And now,
oh, look at this. Sorry,
time,
Harry. The Aston Martin of Wards is all over the back of Biel Souza. He was practically pushing him around turn 22. He's now into the slipstream. Biel Souza and Wards are going to go for the move on the very last lap. Ticho wins here in Saudi Arabia. Kevin Zonneberg's going to take P2, but we're on board. The Ferrari's into the wall. Tiago's into the wall. Here comes Wards on the back of Biel Souza. Here comes TRTZ to the line, and the Ferrari of Tiago gets put into the wall on the very last lap out of turn 27. White Sheep will take P8. Sieb did build a gap. What an end to this Grand Prix. 3 of the drivers separated by 0.3 of a second, and it's Tiago that loses out in that Ferrari.
Yeah, absolute shame. White Sheep's currently typing in general. I want to see what he says, but yeah, I was going to be saying that T-Show wins for last time, but when he got that point in the end, White Sheep said points, and then turned around and pinged Vessel, going, where are your points, question marks. A little cheeky remark to his teammate, who is beating by now 74 points in this championship. Has really been a one-sided Haas dynamic, and for them to be in the constructors fight, it's definitely there. But you have to feel sorry for Tiago there. He fought so hard. His punctures could have literally came any time, and unfortunately, they didn't come, but instead the wall came to him. Instead.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate, Harry. You're absolutely right. So the final standings, Ticho with an extraordinary race is on the podium. Beal Susan, the Racing Bull, picking up P3, and Kevin Zunneberg, once again the master of P2, is on the podium once again. What a race here in Saudi Arabia. It was action-packed. We didn't know if we were going to get it, but it delivered. We had a few DNFs, but let's go through the final grid order. So, as you can see, it is Ticho that takes the race victory here in Saudi Arabia. Kevin Zunneberg finishes P2. Beal Souza in the VCAB takes P3, and then you've got TF10 Wards in the Aston Martin will take P4 and the fastest lap. TRT Zane takes P5, and AMR Tiago in the Ferrari in P6. IRTC in the Mercedes takes P7, and White Sheep in P8. Diogo Silva in the Red Bull in P9, and Ivan in the Williams in P10. ICS Matt in the Williams in P11. Then comes Christian, Benjamin, Pablo, Sam, Mattia, Manga and Vessel. We had 5 DNFs, and it's Christian of the final runners. Harry, driver of the day.
I think it's going to be a VT show. Yes, admittedly, Sieb gained 7 places, Diogo Silva gained 6. But Ticho, leading start to finish, he was unchallenged out there. He just looked in his element. And that is a drive that could flip this championship on the head, because my turn for numbers, vamos, as a Portuguese man would say. But Ticho, second in the championship now after that.
Wow.
A brilliant outcome for him. He's sitting 1 point behind Zunneberg. Yeah. He of course overtakes Zunneberg by the win. Zunneberg coming home P2 or whatever, puts him 3 behind, drops him to 3rd. White Sheep still leads, but that gap goes from 41 to, I want to say it's 30. So it's dropping, but will it drop enough in Brazil? We'll have to wait another week to find that out, but it does look like Ticho and Zunneberg are now that fight for second. Ignore all the screaming in my background.
Don't worry.
Just siblings being siblings.
Don't worry at all. Yeah, well, it was a great race. It always delivers, and we've got, is it 2 rounds left, Harry?
Yeah, Brazil next week and Abu Dhabi the following week. 2 more times of us being together for season 41.
Well, it's been a great season. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you alongside. I'm looking forward to the final 2 races. Do you think White Sheep will have it wrapped up next week now?
I think saying no would be ludicrousy.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say no. Because you can kind of see that if that wheel isn't fixed, it's going to be another race like Mexico, another race like today where he's off the pace, where he's struggling in qualifying, and he has to do it all at the end, and then do all he can to hold on. Whether he can hold on at Brazil, maybe not. I'd say Saudi was a benefit of the doubt for him. Because in Brazil, it's a lot more open, there's a lot more overtaking than Jeddah. It's all corners here, so it was a bit easier for White Sheep to hold his place. Not saying he didn't do a good enough job at doing it. You saw him fighting his heart out at one point. So yeah, he's happy with points, especially with the circumstances he's in. I think he'll be even happier next week if he can score and win it as a result. But yeah, all to play for.
Absolutely. So there you have it. As Harry said, it is all to play for going into the final 2 races of the season. It's been an absolute pleasure sitting alongside in the comments box to Harry this evening here in the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix for PSGL. Make sure you tune in next Monday. We are going to be back for the penultimate race of the season and then on to Abu Dhabi for the final race of this season 41 calendar. I've been your commentator. Thank you so much, and thank you to you as well, Harry.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Hope you have a good week. Hope you all watch and also have a good week, and I'll see you hopefully in a week's time when I'm a bit more awake.
Absolutely, and me too. Take care everybody and have a good one.
Goodbye.